In the year 2021, I built 44 LEGO sets across 8 different themes. But which of these were the best? To answer that, I put together a list of every single set in order from best to worst, and in this video I'm going to talk through my top 21 sets of 2021. If there's a set from this year that you think should have been on this list but isn't, there's a good chance I just didn't build it. I personally don't think you can review a set without having built it, because building the set is half the experience of owning it, and you wouldn't review a movie if you've only seen half of it. Which means this is just a list of every set that I built in 2021, not necessarily that came out in 2021. Some of these came out in 2015, or even before that. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. At 21st, I have the Infinity Gauntlet. I love the idea of this set, and I think they executed it really well. I love the way it looks alongside the rest of the helmet sets, especially with that gold lacquer finish that they put on most of the pieces. I also think the build experience was really fun, and I love how posable it is when you actually have it built. If I was more of a fan of the Marvel movies, I think this set would be a lot higher, but because I'm just a casual fan of them at best, I'm going to put it at 21st. At number 20, I have the Daily Bugle. This set really excited me when it was announced because not only is it a modular building, but it also has every single Spider-Man minifigure I could possibly have asked for, all in one bundle. And as somebody who loved Into the Spider-Verse, it was very exciting to get most of the minifigures from that movie all in one place. I think it looks great in a city layout, especially how tall it is, and I really hope that they do more sets like this in the future, hopefully with other themes like Lego Batman for example. My problem with this set is that yeah, it has 25 minifigures or something, but half of them are characters that I just don't care about at all, and because there's so many of them in it, they sacrifice the quality in a few of them to a point where there's a lot of minifigures in this that I think could and should have been a lot better in terms of production. And again, I'm not a diehard Spider-Man fan or even a superhero fan in general, so if I was, I imagine this set would be a lot higher. At number 19, we have the Batmobile Tumbler Scarecrow Showdown set. I actually did a review of this on this channel, so if you're curious my exact thoughts on it, that's where you can find them. I just think this is a great set. You get everything you can ask for in a set this size, and everything that's there is done extremely well. Up next we have the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels. This is an old one, potentially the oldest set on this list, and it's also one of the most legendary LEGO Star Wars sets of all time. I think the only reason that it's this low is because I haven't actually seen Rebels yet. When I do, I imagine this is going to climb lots of places, but for now, because I have no attachment to the show or the ship, all I see is a Star Wars playset that's kind of flawed in many drastic ways. The build itself is really kind of flimsy. There's lots of pieces that kind of rattle and shake about because they're not secured as well as you would think. And also the fact that there's a huge chunk at the back of the set that's missing if you didn't spend the extra money to get the Phantom set, which means you end up with only like 80% of the set. And for that reason, I can't really put it any higher than 18th. At number 17, we have the Scout Trooper helmet. There isn't an awful lot to say about the helmet collection sets because you kind of know what you're getting by just looking at them, but for what it's worth, I really like this Scout Trooper helmet set. My only issue with it is some slight inaccuracies here and there, but overall I think especially for the price, you get a really great set out of it. This is a set I actually reviewed on my blog, my ill-fated blog, so if you're curious my exact thoughts you can find them there. I'll link it in the description. Similarly, right above it is the Darth Vader helmet. This is a set that I actually have more issues with than the Scout Trooper helmet. I think there's a lot of areas on it that are pretty inaccurate and almost look silly. Here's a mock-up I did illustrating the issues that I have with it. But at the end of the day, it is Darth Vader's helmet, and I don't think you can get a more displayable helmet collection set, which it seems LEGO knew as well given the jacked up price for it. But I really couldn't put it any lower than it is, so 16th will do. Right above it, at 15th, is the Probe Droid buildable character set. This set is one of the best buildable characters they've ever done for LEGO Star Wars, and it really surprised me with how fun it was to put together and how good it looks on display. The build experience for that main body and the head especially were incredibly interesting and fun. The legs, not so much. The end product is a bit smaller than you would expect, and a lot more fragile with these legs just snapping off at random angles. This, like the Darth Vader helmet and the Scout Trooper helmet, is also a set that I reviewed on my blog, so again, if you're interested, that's where you can find my exact thoughts. Above that, we have a Speed Champion set, the Koenigsegg Jesko, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't really have an awful lot to say about this, except that it's a really great Speed Champion set that I think even rivals the Ferrari F8 set from the first wave of 8-wide Speed Champions cars. The build comes together in a pretty familiar way if you've already built a Ferrari, and I think if it was a more recognizable car, or even brand, that this actually could have been higher. At number 13, we have the Ferrari F40 Creator Expert Car. This is a set that I only got this year, and I paid way too much money for, and as a result it's kind of hard to judge it objectively. Ultimately, I think the thing that makes it this high on the list is just how iconic the Ferrari F40 is, and how complete the Creator Expert Cars line looks with it there. I also think the build experience for it was really interesting and fun, even compared to modern Creator Expert Cars. This is one of the first sets I ever reviewed, actually, so if you want to see a really badly written review on my blog, that's also linked. At number 12 is the Speed Champions Ford Duo Pack. This set really surprised me when I was putting it together with just how fun the build experience was, especially for the Ford GT. Relative to the rest of the Speed Champions lines from all waves, I think the Ford GT has one of the most interesting and unique build experiences I've ever had. The bigger Ford Bronco was also pretty interesting to put together, but that Ford GT, man. I also think that the set just captures both of the cars really well, and I think the two of them just go really well together. Up next at number 11 is the last of the Speed Champion sets on this list, and it's the McLaren Elva. If I'm ever asked by anyone what's a great set to buy for €20 if you've never had any experience with LEGO, I think the McLaren Elva is definitely the one I would recommend. I think it'd be very difficult for them to come out with a Speed Champions car that rivals this in terms of how interesting the build experience was. Every single section of it came together in an incredibly interesting and unique way, and especially for the price, I think it's just amazing. I would highly recommend. And now, the top 10. At number 10, I have the Mandalorian Starfighter set. The build for this set was pretty fun, but not really groundbreaking, but the final model looks amazing, and the thing that really carries this set above others is just the minifigures that come with it. The Mandalorian Loyalist and the Bo-Katan minifigures look amazing, but that Gar Saxon minifigure is one of the best LEGO Star Wars figures I have ever seen. I'd highly recommend this set to anyone who's on the fence about it. At number 9, we have the Ghostbusters Ecto-1. This is another one of those sets that I reviewed in depth on my blog, so that's where I'd recommend you go if you want my full thoughts on it. But the gist of it is that it's a great set with some amazing build techniques all throughout, but it's just so expensive for what it is. It's just a glorified Creator Expert car, and for €200 you'd be expecting something akin to the 1989 Batwing, for example. For this to justify the price, it needed either some minifigures or a display plaque. And if it had either of those, it would justify the €200 to me, and it would probably be higher on this set, but as is, I think even 9th is being generous. Up next, at number 8, is the Bad Batch Attack Shuttle. This set had a lot of controversy around it, especially when it was leaked, and even when it came out, I've seen a lot of people complaining about its size, that it was too small, and some of the problems it has with its playability and general stability. One of the biggest issues being that if you hold it by its middle fin, the entire ship just swings open and potentially breaks. I've also seen a lot of people complain about the lack of Omega and the two pointless speeders that comes with it. But the biggest complaint that I've seen was the color of it, the controversial decision to make it a sand blue ship. But I gotta say, I loved this set. I think the sand blue looks really good and was a really great decision just to make it a distinct model. And there really is so much to be said about getting 5 great minifigures to round out the entire Bad Batch crew and a Gonk droid. I think all the minifigures were done really well, especially Echo, who's become one of my favourite minifigures of all time. And for what it's worth, I think the ship looks great in person, much better than it does in pictures, and I think the extra 2 speeders adds a lot of playability to anyone who wants to get this set to play with. I think as Bad Batch Attack Shuttle sets go, we couldn't really ask for more. Well, apart from giving Crosshair a rangefinder, and giving Hunter a properly accurate headpiece. Other than that, I think it's brilliant, and easily probably one of the best playsets I own. At number 7, we have the R2-D2 buildable character. The original set that came out in 2012 or so was my white whale. So you can imagine how excited I was when they announced that they'll be making a newer remake model of it in 2021, and it absolutely didn't disappoint. It's easily the best buildable character they've ever made, and I think some of the build techniques and play features that it has more than justify the price. I also think it just looks amazing alongside the rest of the brick built characters. This is a UCS set in all but name, and it's a pretty damn good one at that. Up next, at number 6, we have the 1989 Batwing. It's insane to me that they put this for sale at the same price as the Ecto-1, but with this you get 3 brilliant minifigures, a perfect display stand, and even the ability to mount it on the wall as a display solution. I also think the build experience was pretty interesting in a few places, and the final model looks incredible. This is again another set that I reviewed in depth on my blog. I think the pictures that I put up there do a really good job of illustrating this set, and it's one of my better reviews. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of it, and it's more than deserving of the 6th place. If anything, this might be harsh. And just about right above it at 5th is the Batmobile Tumbler set from this year. Again, the old Tumbler was one of my white whales, so we have another situation here where the remake more than makes up for my expectations. I definitely think this set should have had another minifigure, in particular that Scarecrow minifigure from the smaller Tumbler set. I think the build experience was a lot more fun than the Batwing, for example, and the final model looks just incredible, especially if you're a fan of the Dark Knight trilogy. At number 4 is a set that might surprise a few of you, and that is the LEGO Ideas Ship in a Bottle. I say it'll surprise a few of you because it surprised me. This is one of the best sets I've ever built, period. If there was ever a single set that you can get for somebody to get them into the LEGO building hobby, this is it. The build experience was incredibly fun, very varied, and really unique. It's hard to put into words really exactly how impressed I was with this set. If it wasn't for this next set coming up, this would have been number 3 easily. And if you can get it for anywhere close to the retail price, it is more than worth it. At number 3 is the Mario question mark block. I almost didn't even get this set, but my god, it surprised me. I don't think you can get a single more satisfying build experience from any set on the market at the moment, especially if you're a fan of micro builds, or even just the intrinsic satisfaction of tiling off studs. It has so many party tricks that are great to show to people when they go up and see your collection, and anyone would recognize it from a distance. It's also one of very few occasions where I think LEGO underpriced a set, especially compared to some other sets in the €200 price range. 180 is such a steal. It was a joy to put together from start to finish, and I'd highly recommend it to even a casual Mario fan, or even just a casual LEGO fan. At number 2 is an incredibly unfairly controversial set, and that's the UCS Republic Gunship. Yes, it has its problems. The minifigure selection is not good enough, and some of the things that the designers said about it are pretty inexcusable, especially for a set of this price marketed towards this audience. But none of that can take away from the fact that this is the first prequel UCS set we've gotten in years, and it's one of the best UCS sets we've gotten ever. The build experience was extremely fun, especially around the front, and the final model is so large and so good looking. Minifigure selection complaints aside, as a diehard prequel fan, this is all I could ask for from the Republic Gunship model, although I could have asked for more from the minifigures. And at number 1, probably unsurprisingly, is the Ultimate Collector Series AT-AT. There's a lot you can say about this set, but ultimately it is the most expensive and the most accurate LEGO Star Wars set ever made. It comes with a great selection of minifigures. The build was just incredibly interesting, and the final model just imposes itself in a way that I don't think any other set really does. A lot of people were waiting a very long time to get a UCS AT-AT, and I think it was worth every second of the wait. Although, I don't think it's worth €800. 700? Yeah, that's fair, but when you have the UCS Millennium Falcon also for sale at 800, it kind of doesn't feel right. But it's still one of the greatest LEGO sets ever made, and definitely, I would say by far, the best LEGO set that I built this year. And that's my list. I know that I left out some really huge sets from 2021, like the LEGO Ideas Winnie the Pooh set, the Medieval Blacksmith, the LEGO Titanic, and even some other sets that I did buy, like the Bonsai Tree, the Police Station Modular Building. If there's a set that you think I missed or ranked too low, I'll put the full list in the description of every set that I got this year, so you can check whether or not I even got it. And with that said, thanks for watching, farewell.